So what is it about your message, do you think, that infuriates certain people?
My message is traditional masculinity. My message is to stand up and say what you mean and mean what you say. And even going to the gym nowadays is an act of defiance, because when you have a man who's built with any degree of principle, you say no to things. And I think if I have to analyze my message and why I'm so disliked by the people who dislike me, it's not the things I'm saying, it's the fact that if you adhere to my principles and you adhere to the things I say, you end up being the kind of person who will resist certain ideas.
Folks, I think we just witnessed the biggest interview of the year. Yesterday, Tucker Carlson sat down with none other than the not at all controversial figure, Andrew Tate, for what I thought was a phenomenal and insightful and really entertaining interview. In fact, it was so good that it actually crashed our stream last night, okay? So sorry to everyone who had to witness those technical problems. I hope to do a full reaction tonight, and hopefully it's not broken this time. But I did, at the very least, right now want to give you a video going over some of the best highlights from this Andrew Tate Tucker Carlson interview that is breaking the internet at the moment. So let's check it out. I actually want to start here. We'll go through these, but I want to start with actually Andrew talking about his take on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And the reason I bring it up is because we haven't heard him talk about this yet, but also because his take on this is legitimately better than many of the Republicans in Washington, if you catch my drift. So Andrew Tate, not political, not really a conservative figure, but he seems to understand American foreign policy a lot better than Lindsey Graham and a lot of people in the GOP. So let's just take a look here. Check this out. Very good take in my opinion.
Why do you think support for the war in Ukraine, support for Ukraine's side in the war against Russia, support for a war against Russia in the West is kind of the bottom line issue for the people who run the U.S. government and for the American media? Why? I mean, I guess you could argue about it,
Yep.
but there isn't an argument about it in the United States. There's a position, and anyone who doesn't hold it is attacked and punished. Why?
That's true. You want peace in Eastern Europe. You want Ukrainians and Russians to stop killing each other. You work for Putin! Cenk Uyghur voice. It's true, yeah.
Why is that so important?
Well, the first thing I think we should all do is I think we should all give Putin credit for curing COVID. Right? Because when his invasion happened, COVID went away.
So thought about that.
Think about it. It's almost to the day. So we have to give him some credit at least for doing that. He may be the bad guy of the world, but at least he cured COVID for everybody nearly instantly.
Fair.
Thank you, President Putin.
YouTube, that is obviously a joke. He's obviously making a joke, TOS, but it is true. Do you guys remember that? The very week that they invaded Ukraine, all of a sudden the mask mandates, everything, it went away. They said, we don't need masks, we don't need vaccine mandates. Everything just dropped. It's true. Not wrong.
Yeah. I, up until this point, never really commented too heavily on politics.
Yes.
But I understand very well, I like to believe what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. And what I will say to the people who are watching this at home is that if you are naive enough to believe that there are good guys and bad guys in wars, and it's as simple as good and bad, and that the bad guys are crazy and the good guys want freedom, then you need to do a little bit more investigation into what's really happening. And when you look at the vested interest of any country or any person...
Can I just ask you to pause and just comment? That's the truest thing, what you just said. That is and anyone who doesn't understand that should shut the fuck up. And I mean it, having seen war. Anyone who's telling you that it's Churchill versus Hitler is an idiot.
Complete. Well, I'll give you an example. When my father was still alive,
So, you know, I 100% agree. And what's funny is that you're not allowed to say this, though, right? You think the Russia-Ukraine conflict is a little bit more complicated than, you know, literally being World War II all over again? You're a Putin sympathizer. You don't think that we should, you know, be sending billions and billions of dollars and we're telling Ukraine actively to not pursue peace and allow and encourage these people to keep killing each other? And, oh my gosh, you know, you're working for Russia. No, I think in reality, it's actually a complicated situation that overall we should probably just want to see peace in. And you know what? If you want to sit here and tell me, neocons, liberals, all you people, if you want to sit there and just honestly tell me that it is a war for American influence, I may not agree. I may not want to fight a proxy war on our behalf, but at least I would respect these arguments. But what I don't like being told, and what I think Tucker doesn't like being told, as he talked about, in the last interview, and Andrew Tate, is this idea that it is some type of moral crusade for democracy when Ukraine is not a democracy. Ukraine is an incredibly corrupt country. Zelensky is not a saint by any stretch of the imagination. So to sit there and pretend to me, this is about democracy versus tyrannical authoritarian and Putin, don't give me the nonsense, okay? Don't lie to us. And I think that's what's being said there. And frankly, I agree. And you guys know where I stand on the Russia-Ukraine stuff. But yeah, it's very interesting, though. Andrew Tate seems to understand American foreign policy better than a lot of Republicans, which tells you a lot, because no, it's democracy. So I thought that was a very good take. Props to Andrew Tate. Please come to America when this is all over and tell the GOP, what's up, because you're absolutely right. But here you go. We take a look at some other clips here from this interview. Tucker asked Andrew Tate, what is it about your message that infuriates people? So let's take a look. I mean, this, I'm sure, will be very interesting. It's not just that it infuriates people. I think there's something precisely about Andrew Tate's message that is infuriating systems, which is why, this whole situation is happening right now, as we talk about many times on this channel. But here, let's take a look at this.
So what is it about
Sorry, the resolution sucks,
your
by the way.
message do you think that infuriates certain people?
Well, my message is traditional masculinity. My message is to stand up and say what you mean and mean what you say. And even going to the gym nowadays is an act of defiance, because when you have a man who's built with any degree of principle, you say no to things.
There you go.
And I think if I have to analyze my message and why I'm so disliked by the people who dislike me, it's not the things I'm saying. It's the fact that if you adhere to my principles and you adhere to the things I say, you end up being the kind of person who will resist certain ideas. You say no. What kind of man never says no? Name a man who never says no.
None.
Men say no, right? Men wake up and say, no, I don't think that should be done this way. No, my children will not be taught that.
It's the father's primary job.
Absolutely. So when you say to men, listen, you're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to have standards. You're allowed to have boundaries and barriers. You're allowed to get up and become important and work hard and try hard and become the kind of man who can't be controlled, then you're seen as an enemy. And I, especially with the massive influence I've gained, I think they look at me and go, he's helping men resist the slave programming. We don't need him around. We need to empty their brains so we can inject the slave programming and convince men to be eunuchs, because once you're eunuched, then you're not a threat.
I think I buy that, because your message, I'm not the world's expert on your message, but I've seen a lot of it, and it's not explicitly political, actually.
No, it's not political at all.
Exactly.
And their original attack before this Matrix attack is they weaponized virtue, which is what they usually do. There's no genuine virtue inside of these people. They weaponize virtue. They find a virtue, and they turn it into a bullet, and they shoot at you. I'm sure you know very well.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
That is what they do. Yeah, so that's very interesting, right? Why is the system really after Andrew Tate? Well, the answer I've given in the past is I've said, well, it's because he's countercultural. That's been my line on this channel. The more I think about it, I don't think it's that simple. It's we've got to ask more specifically why. What about his counterculturalism is so threatening? Because he's exactly right. There are some clips out there of him liking Trump. We know where he stands politically, but he's not expressly a political figure. It's not about that. He actually kind of tries to steer away from that stuff, but there's still something about his core message of, I don't know, work out, make money, I guess, be a man, have masculine thoughts and ideas. There is something about that is so threatening to the Western elites, to the world order, that, you see this process now where he's being thrown in a Romanian jail cell and all that. But I really do think, honestly, it is precisely that simple. Him telling men to work out, as we saw, the other night we covered on, this channel, the MSNBC was saying that working out is a symptom of far-right extremism. There's actually something to be said about that, right? Because increasing male testosterone has a correlation with right-wing ideas. They've actually studied this, right? Higher testosterone men are more likely to have right-wing political beliefs. And they've also found, right, that there's a correlation between testosterone and being willing to speak out against stuff, not comply, stand up against the crowd. So think about that for a moment logically. this is why the masculinity movement, though it is non-political, though like I'm a conservative, you know, I'm not here to vote for Trump, but even the people who just say go be a man, that's why it's so threatening. That's why it's threatening to have a movement that just overall increases male testosterone, masculinity, makes men take themselves more seriously and respect themselves. And that's really all that Andrew Tate basically is about. And that's precisely why it's so threatening. That's the real reason why, because really, what they try to do with our fighting age men, young men, I should say, you know, 20s, 30s, early 30s, stuff like that, is just neuter us, distract us, lower our testosterone, because if they do all of those things, we could be controlled. Because usually, who starts the revolutions, who fights the revolutions? It's not your old people, it's not women, it is precisely fighting age men. And so that's why I think Andrew Tate to them is such a threat, more than maybe some other people, is that he is mobilizing the fighting age men to take themselves seriously and do something. And that in itself is enough of a threat for them to say this guy needs to be thrown in jail. I genuinely believe that. But anyways, I figure we could, I guess, at least take a look at one more clip here. I mean, he goes on to say some good stuff, obviously, you know, stuff about the lockdowns, all of that, you know, generally solid stuff. But let's take a look. I mean, this is a political channel. I guess we could close with this clip here. Andrew Tate on Kamala Harris. She is largely incompetent. I don't think I've ever heard her put a compendious, coherent sentence together. Here you go. Check it out.
If you are black, white, Asian, I think if you stand up, self-respect, work hard, try your best, turn up on time, firm handshake, don't make excuses for anything, don't look for an easy way out, no matter what your skin color is, in America or England or any other Western nation, I think you can be extremely successful. I don't think anything's stopping you.
That's not the message you get from, say, Kamala Harris, who's also mixed race. Her dad was Jamaican, her mom was Indian.
Yeah.
But race is really at the center of her identity and her politics. What do you make of, say, Kamala Harris?
Well, let's look at why they purport the idea that depression is so powerful and that you can just catch it from the sky and now you're permanently depressed no matter what happens to you and there's nothing you can do about it and you can't improve your life and you can't be a better person, right? It's that self-limiting belief. I think by also pushing this racism argument, it's also very much the same thing. I think if you adopt that mindset, if you wake up and you're a particular color, you're purple, and you believe purple people can't make it, what's your chance of making it? 0.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what's so destructive about it. This is what I'll even argue when I argue this point with people and they try and say, oh, but this happens, and they pull out these statistics and all this garbage from the Matrix. I say, listen, even if the world's racist against purple people, the best thing you can do is be such an exceptional purple person that they need you they need you. The only answer is hard work. The only answer is self-accountability, masculine essence, honor, dignity, making your ancestors proud of you because you hold the same last name as them. The answer is the same regardless anyway. But when people like Kamala are pushing this racism agenda, they're trying to say to people effectively, you'll never be anything, and you don't stand a chance of ever being anything. And I think that makes people who aren't anything feel a little bit better about themselves. It's cope. And that's the only fans she has left, are losers who she's told it's okay to be a loser, because there's no way you could have not been a loser. And I will argue you could have been something a lot more than that.
So he's definitely right, you know, and basically what he's making is the Booker T. Washington argument, which is, you know, the best way to overcome the situation is, you know, to do something about it. We need to encourage education and working hard and living a responsible life. The one problem I would say on that front, though, is that it's not politically convenient, right? People, especially when they run to politics, and this is just kind of a downfall of democracy, they always want to run to the political system to fix their problems, ultimately, right? So on one side, you have the side telling, you know, minorities in America, well, the truth, which is, you know, pull yourself up, you got to work, you got to put in the work, right? No one is actually stopping you. It's a matter of you need to live a more responsible life if you don't feel like you're where you want to be. But that's the thing, is that doesn't win votes, right? What wins votes? Grievance does win votes, right? We're going to fix your problems. It's not your fault, because people don't want to take responsibility. And so I would say that's sort of the downfall of what he's saying. He's not wrong. That is, on a personal level, the right thing to do. But as a person who studies politics and talks about it, I have to say, you know, that's the reason why Kamala Harris is able to get away with what she does. But yeah, I mean, it would help the country not if people probably took on that mentality more as well. But yeah, okay, well, there's just me reacting to a few highlights of this Andrew Tate interview. There's a lot more I want to talk about. Actually, Tucker Carlson asked him about migration and demographics in terms of Europe and all that stuff. It was a little bit spicy of a topic. I definitely want to react to that. And, you know, there's some other stuff to talk about as well. So this is my introduction video. Like I said, tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully the technology works better, but I want to do a live stream reaction to him where it's, you know, we actually get to react and not, you know, get caught up in technical problems. So be sure to stay posted for that. And if that does not happen, then we will definitely do more videos reacting to this interview because it's 2.5 hours long. There's a lot to react to. But yeah, all right. That wraps it up for today, though. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let me know your thoughts on what he said here, his interview, all that stuff. And yeah, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, Alpha Moves only. Everyone have a very good day. Go check out the full interview on Twitter and stuff. And yeah, peace. See you guys later. Hey guys, Vince Dao here. Hope you enjoyed that clip from the Vince Dao show. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And be sure to check out the Vince Dao show live every weeknight here on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It is a great show. Many are saying this. So leave a like, check out our other clips, and be sure to check out the show. God bless.